Jim says there likely was enough evidence to charge the Reverend Norman Ducart of Dickinson and the Reverend Odu Mugley, an Order of St. Benedict priest at Assumption Abbey in Richardson. However, the statute of limitations has run out on those cases. The Minnesota Attorney General's office says it should be easier to obtain a COVID vaccination by June, and is now asking that the trial of the former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd be delayed. The trial is now scheduled to start March 8th. The Attorney General's office says it thinks a 3-month continuance would be in the best interests of public health. North Dakota has reported 2 more COVID-related deaths, pushing the total to 1,312. The latest victims were a woman in her 70s from the Bismarck area and a man in his 80s from Nelson County. Cass County had the most new positive cases with 69. The number of people hospitalized remains at 98. Fargo-Moorhead, a clearing sky overnight, and 10. We hit 38 at our KFGO studios this afternoon. Increasing clouds then tomorrow after that clear night. Chance of light snow by tomorrow night. Meteorologist Tom Shavatsky is expecting a high tomorrow of about 30. Cloudy then Wednesday. Light snow possible Wednesday morning. Again near 30 for a high. Thursday, Friday, mostly cloudy. Highs 26 to 32. After reaching 38 at our KFGO studios, sunny 37. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
The Mighty 790 KFGO. Good afternoon and welcome back to The Drive. KFGO time is coming up on 4:11. I'm Dan Michaels. Paulie Lines is our producer. And you heard Paul Juergens, the KFGO News Center. More news at the bottom of the hour at 4:30 at the Mighty 790 KFGO. The athletic director at North Dakota State University joins us this afternoon to talk all things Bison. His name is Matt Larson, of course, and he joined us from NDSU today. Hi, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dan. Happy New Year, and thanks for having me on.
Oh, Happy New Year to you, too, and thank you for joining us as always, man. It's always our privilege. So, boy, I don't even know where to start. There's so much going on. We kind of turn the page here now, and we're getting ready for some serious athletics. The Bison women had 3 home games in December. The men, as the way the schedule worked out, didn't have any home games, but we got a chance to see them, virtually and on the radio and et cetera. But they're all coming home this weekend. It's the conference and home opener for Bison men's basketball. That's just the tip of the iceberg, though, but it's got to be exciting up there, Matt.
It is. The non-conference basketball schedule has been a challenge, and there's been so many changes and stops and starts. And, but fortunately, unlike a lot of other places, we've been able to get games in. Not as many as home as we would have liked, but, been able to go on the road against some good opponents and play really well. And so, exciting to finally have both programs back at home. The men for the first time this weekend against Omaha after a really good opening start to the conference season last weekend at Western Illinois. Yeah. So really exciting to finally get them back here at home.
Absolutely. The Bison men had to, stumble a little bit out of the gate because you had to play some huge major talent to kick off the season because, like you mentioned, the schedule kind of got jerry-rigged.
It really did. I mean, we had a really favorable non-conference schedule going into the season, and then just with cancellations and tournaments dropping and things popping up, our goal was we wanted to play games. Our guys wanted to play games, and so a real credit to Coach Richmond and his staff in being able to, in some cases, last minute, be able to put together a schedule to get some games. And, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, it's against some, major and high major opponents. But I think at the end of the day, I think those experiences will serve us really well as we move forward. And I think in most of those cases, really acquitted ourselves well and played really well and brought 2 of those games, basically to the wire. Mm-hmm. And so I think got great experience from those games, and hopefully that'll translate into some success here in the Summit League. As the Bison get ready for their home opening weekend against Omaha, the Bison men, they're 2-0 in the Summit League. There are a ton of people talking, though, Matt, and I'm sure you've got the feedback in your ears. The Bison women's basketball program is back. The ladies are looking really remarkable. Jory Collins, nothing's over. It's a constant. The wolf is always at the door. But, boy, has he done a great job since he's been in Fargo. Well, it's just amazing. I mean, I think that, the program's been transformed in a little over 18 months, and I'm really excited for them. I know when I first came here to North Dakota State, so much of the history and tradition of NDSU was women's basketball, and, it just didn't translate to Division I success early on. And to see some success, to see the looks on those young women's faces, and certainly Coach Collins and their staff, and what they've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time, it has been fun to watch. It really has been, and it's a great brand of basketball. It's high energy. It's really fun to watch. And so, again, I would encourage folks, if you haven't had a chance to see them either in person or virtually, come out to the Shack this weekend, the Shield Center, and watch the women's basketball team play. They're a lot of fun.
The athletic director at North Dakota State University, Mr. Matt Larson, is joining us this afternoon on KFGO. We're going to talk wrestling in just a moment. But, Matt, talking about coming out and seeing the men and the women play, and I hope everyone will. We're doing this different format, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. But who can come out? How many of us can come out? And I know it's kind of in flux right now.
Well, right now, I mean, we've been working with the State Department of Health and certainly Governor Burgum's office, and for the past month or so, we've been in orange as a state, but I think I saw that he just moved it to yellow. So under orange, we were able to have up to 1,000 spectators in the Shield Center for basketball and wrestling. And, our first women's basketball game with fans against UND, we had upwards of 800 plus fans, and it was a great atmosphere, and everybody was safe and socially distanced and wore their masks. And then yesterday we had a quad match with Missouri, South Dakota State, Oregon State, and NDSU, and probably had a similar crowd, about probably 750 to 800 people. And again, people were spaced out, and it was great. I know they were excited to get out and see some live action. And so, as we move forward, we'll work with our 1,000 until those new parameters come out for yellow, and hopefully that increases the number. And again, our goal all along is whatever fans we have or whatever spectators we have in any of our facilities, we're going to make sure it's as safe as possible for all in attendance.
One of those ways we've gone a little bit safer up at North Dakota State is not having paper to hold on to much anymore. Tickets are a lot different today. Matt, you buy them electronically.
Yeah, everything. We moved to mobile ticketing, and we had planned on doing it anyway this year, and certainly with COVID and all the things that have transpired over the course of the last 9 months, the timing couldn't have been any better. And so yeah, we've gone to almost exclusively to mobile ticketing, and one, I think it's the trend of where the industry was going anyway, but certainly the more or the less transactions or handing things from one person to the next that we can minimize, the better. So I think that's a really positive thing. It allows folks to also transfer their tickets electronically. So not having to meet somebody and give them the ticket, you can transfer all electronically. And so I think that's been a huge bonus, and I think that'll help us just continue as we move forward with just the efficiency of getting people into venues as well.
The multi-award-winning Matt Larson, athletic director at North Dakota State University, is joining us this afternoon. Matt, the Bison men and women will play a doubleheader on Friday, and they'll play a doubleheader on Saturday this weekend in men's and women's basketball up at the Shack. That is a format that the Summit League has agreed to. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to see this new year?
Yeah, well, we got a little taste this past weekend at Western Illinois. We had similar format. We had back-to-back doubleheaders on Saturday and Sunday. And honestly, I'll tell you, it was unique. It was different, but I kind of liked it. Got to watch all 4 games on their stream. And but the impetus behind it was trying to minimize the amount of travel, the amount of exposure, amount of airports that our student athletes have to travel through, amount of hotels they have to travel through. And so being able to go to one site, play the same team, both locations, as opposed to on a typical weekend, under normal circumstances, we go to Western Illinois, and then we might fly to Oral Roberts. And so now you're going through multiple airports, multiple hotels, interacting with multiple people, where this really waters it down, and it's just that one team that you're competing against. And so you'll see that this weekend against Omaha. We have a doubleheader on Friday and Saturday with the men and the women both playing. And again, it's something unique. It's kind of a little bit of a throwback to probably Division II days, a little bit, where you're playing back-to-back nights. And haven't had a chance to talk to Coach Richmond and Coach Collins as they got back yesterday, but interested just to get the feedback from them and how their student athletes enjoyed it. But something different, something new for this year. But I think it'll work really well at the end.
Well, and I do too. And the fact that we get to play it all is the most important thing. So the Bison women will tip off at 5:00 on Friday and 5:00 on Saturday, and the men will follow up 7:30, 8 o'clock ish. It all depends on how long the women's game goes. Correct?
Yeah, it'll be a half hour after the conclusion of the women's game, give both men's teams a chance to warm up. And so, hey, we encourage people to come out. Again, two really good basketball teams, both playing really, really well right now. And so we encourage you, come out, watch the women's games, stay, have some dinner at our concessions in between, and then stay for the men's game, and make a day out of it. And so, encourage folks to come out and join us this weekend.
Absolutely. And Bison Wrestling, there's Big 12 athletes here in Fargo. Bison Wrestling off to a great start.
Yeah, really are. It was a lot of fun. Yesterday was actually the first collegiate wrestling match to take place since everything was shut down last year, and so
wow.
It was really neat. It was a different format than we've really ever done before. It was a quadrangle, had 4 teams. We got to wrestle both Oregon State and beat them, and then got to wrestle against Missouri, who is number 10 and a really talented program. But it was a really unique environment. Had 2 matches going at the same time. All 4 teams were wrestling at the same time. And if you ask the fans that were here, it's something that was kind of neat. Again, a different experience, but something kind of unique and neat that we may look to do in the future.
And Matt Larson, Bison football gets underway February 21st.
February 21st, it'll be unique. It's a Sunday. I think maybe, I haven't checked for sure, but I think probably the first time the Bison have ever played on a Sunday. And all of our athletes will be reporting back this week. We'll be starting practice on Saturday, and we're off and running. It'll be really weird. We have all of our teams reporting back this week, and all of our fall teams, all of our spring teams will all be starting up here in the next week and a half or so. So it'll be pretty busy here in the Shack.
Oh, man, it's so fun that's going on. If you go to gobison.com, by the way, where you can get tickets, see the schedule, all sorts of different things, there's a countdown to kickoff. February 21st, 47 days, 22 hours, 17 minutes, and 55 seconds.
Can't wait.
Yeah, we love our Bison football. Matt Larson, the athletic director at North Dakota State University, joining us, getting caught up on Bison athletics this afternoon. Matt, a big privilege, always a pleasure. Thanks so much. We'll see you on Friday afternoon as we tip off Bison women's hoops.
All right, you got it, Dan. Thanks so much. I'll see you Friday.
You got it. Thanks so much, Matt. Matt Larson, the athletic director at North Dakota State University. KFGO time is 4:21. You're listening to The Drive on the Mighty 790 KFGO.
Afternoons Live with Tyler Axenis.